Everyone to Journey Chronicles, life stories from the passenger seat. I'm your host, your driver, and we're changing things a bit on today's episode. We are moving forward, not backwards. We're not staying the same, but I'm implementing something hopefully that you guys will enjoy. On today's episode, we did it. We have our first driver submission video that I'm going to implement in this video for today. I'm going to be putting that first because it sends a good message aside from the fact that it's just a video of a driver's experience. It also sends in a good message that I would like to start on a good note. And hopefully what I'm doing and what I'm going to do forward from today's video and on helps you, the listener and the viewer, understand the reason of why I did this podcast. I have so many conversations with so many strangers, so many different type of people, and it's not fair for me to keep those conversations to myself. Of course, with their consent, I do share our conversation with you guys, the listeners and the viewers, on the socials. But without further ado, let's introduce our first driver submission video. And I also implemented some information so that the listeners who are not aware, or riders who are not aware of how the system works on our end, the drivers. And hopefully we can come to a conclusion of an understanding and look at the message instead of arguing of other things that are really unnecessary. So enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Natasha. I used to drive Uber and Lyft for 2 years. I stopped driving for a bit. It was very tiring for me. But I wanted to tell this specific story because I feel like we need to make awareness of females who go out to drink and how they find their way home, and to make sure that we travel in groups as women so that we can get safely home. But I'm going to tell you this one specific story that I picked up this female, and she was 21. She just turned 21. And I had to make my way to Chandler. And on my way to pick her up, I waited, the typical, you wait for your passenger to get in the car. And so I waited, and two females approached me, and one was like, "Oh, this is my friend you're going to take home." And I could see that she was very intoxicated. She was barely standing up on her own, and her friend was helping her. And I asked her friend, like, "Are you coming with her?" She's like, "No." So in my mind, I was like, "Wow, this female must really trust me because I'm another female." And of course, I would never do anything to hurt any female. I'd rather just get them home safely because they have family members that care about them. And she was like, "The address is there, everything's there. She just got in a car. She lives about 20 minutes away." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." So she gets in the car, and I started to drive. And right when I got close to like a four-way, which was a very popular four-way where it was club in front of club, and so we have to be very cautious of people because they don't care for the light. They just run it or try to make it. But I was waiting there, and she was in and out, the passenger, of like sleeping and then like her intoxication. Right when I was turning, she's like, "Oh no, you go this way, you go this way." I'm like, "Okay." So I knew in my mind like I didn't want to agitate her, and I was following the map where it was taking me, and I confirmed her with the address. I'm like, "This is where you live?" She's like, "Yeah, that's where I live, but you're going the wrong way." So I could tell she was getting like very agitated. So I was just like, "Okay." So I take a turn, and she was guiding me. Then all of a sudden she was quiet, and I knew she fell asleep because I could hear her snore. And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, just to confirm, I gave the her friend a call because she's the one who requested the ride for her. So I was like, "Hey, your friend is going in and out. She got agitated because I wasn't going the right way. I was following the map." She's like, "Oh no, the map is fine. You can just go." I'm like, "Okay." So I made my way driving. Again, she did live like 20 minutes away, so I drove. And when we arrived, I turned on the light and I was like, "Oh, ma'am, we're here. This is your home. Can you please confirm it?" And then she would not budge. I like tapped her shoulder a couple of times. I'm like, "Oh, excuse me, we're here at your house." She did not wake up. She was completely blacked out. And I was like, "Oh my God." So I got out of the car. I parked the car, got out of the car, went to her door and knocked on her door. I could hear dogs barking, but no one answered. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I just kept knocking and I rang the bell. Hopefully, someone would come to the door, or at least someone peeked through the door. That way, I would like tell them, like, oh, hey, I have a family member that's in the car that I give a ride home. No one answered. So I gave um her friend a call. I'm like, hey, no one's coming out. Like, she's not waking up. I knocked on the door. And she's like, okay, hold on, let me call you back. I'm like, okay. So I waited. Like 5 minutes later, she calls me back. She's like, well, I tried to call her brother. I tried to call her other sibling. And she was like, at this point, I don't know what to do. You could either leave her there by the door and then you can continue on. And I was like, I cannot leave your friend at the door. She's a female. She's very intoxicated. I was like, I'm just not gonna leave her there. Like, why would I do that? And I was like, well, can you request for her to go to your apartment? And she got very sassy with me. She was like, well, this is the reason why I requested the ride, and this is why I'm not gonna go pick her up because I'm drunk. And I was like, yes, I understand that, but I was like, are your fingers too drunk to change the address? And she got so quiet. She's like, no. So she's like, well, go ahead and change the address. I was like, no, you have to change the address because you're the account holder. You change the address. So she changed the address. And so when she changed it, her friend lived 20 minutes away from the previous destination. I'm like, okay. So I got in the car and I was making my way. And while I was on the phone, I asked her, like, hey, do you need help with your friend to take her to at least to your door so that she can safely go in there? She's like, no, I have people here. I have two guys. I have a whole party here. I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I was like, I didn't feel safe because, again, they were all intoxicated. She had a party with her, so I didn't want to like risk myself going there by myself. And mind you, this is like at midnight, and I had hung up with her, and I called my husband. I'm like, hey, can you meet me here? And luckily, he was in the area, so he met me. He followed me there. And when we got to the apartment complex, I was like, hey, I'm here. Can you pinpoint it? Like, give me the direction. She's like, yeah, it's over here. So we got to her apartment and I seen her. I recognized that she came out. But upon taking her from the previous house to her house, the female peed in my car. She full on peed. I was like, okay. I was like, why do I hear water? A few seconds later, I smelled pee. I'm like, oh my gosh, she peed in my car. And so I was like, I'm just going to get her there safely. That's all that matters. And so again, when I arrived at the apartment complex, a whole party came out. And mind you, there were two big guys that were trying to get this female who was like very petite, very like probably like 105 pounds. And I understand that it was dead weight and everything, but it was so funny to me because she she was trying to get her friend out of the car, which she couldn't. So she asked her guy friends, and these guys were probably like, I'm saying 6'1", 6'2", very tall, very muscular, and they could not get this female out of the car. And mine and like when I was watching them, I saw my husband from afar who was laughing because they couldn't get this female out of the car. And upon like taking her out of the car, they hit her head on the door. Oh my God. I was like, okay, she's gonna feel that in the morning. And when they finally got her out, and I told the the owner of the account, like, hey, she peed in my car. I just want to let you know that's gonna be like a cleaning fee. She's like, that's fine. She's like, I apologize and this and that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna let you know that it is a cleaning fee. That she did pee in my car, and you're gonna be charged. Um, the app will tell you how much you're gonna be charged. And I just told her I'm just gonna submit this with Uber. She's like, okay. And so when they were going about to leave the car, I went in the back and took pictures. And one of her other friends was like, no, hurry up and get her out. Like, she was blocking my way to take pictures. So I was just like, it's okay. So I just like told her, like, excuse me, can you move? I just need to take a picture. This is my vehicle. I own it. This is my property. You cannot block me from my property. And she wasn't getting it. And so I just like waited for her to leave. I just got in the car. drove somewhere else, did what I have to do of taking pictures, sending it, and I at least I got I did get paid the cleaning fee. I did get paid of dropping her off, and I guess like in the end I'm just, as for me as a female, made me have trust issues and other females as friends. It makes me want to know who I go with and make sure that I do trust that person and to have them trust me as well. And I just want to raise awareness that if you do go out with friends, make sure it's friends that you have been friends with 5 plus years, 2 plus years, a friend that trusts you with their life. Because again, this made me have trust issue with this particular um person because she wanted me to leave her friend at the door, which was a completely no. So again, I just want to make awareness to whoever you go out, make sure you trust them, make sure that you get home safe, make sure that you communicate with them at the end of the night, like, hey, I got home. And I guess it's just to have that peace of mind because you do have family and friends that care about you, that love you, and want to see you smile the next day, want to see you the next day. And that is my story. Thank you.
That was our driver, Natasha. Natasha, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And hopefully your submission helps welcome more drivers out there that would like to submit their videos. We can either do it the same way. Again, I work with you guys. So there's no way that you can record something. We can meet up somewhere. There's many apps that we can video chat and we can record, of course, with your consent. All I want to do is make your story heard. Boy, oh boy, do I remember my next story. It was very interesting because I was unable to record the first half of our conversation that we were already conversating. So the recording that you were about to hear was already halfway to his destination when I forgot I had a podcast because I was having so much fun with the conversation that I didn't introduce a podcast until we were almost to his destination. So that's the reason why it was a little short, but still interested on everything he had to say. And I want to implement that audio with you guys today. Enjoy. Having met your wife, having gone out on dates a year or two after, her Mexican ethnicity side, what's one thing that you kind of struggle with trying to fit in with her? Was there something?
In all honesty, not much, just because, the person that she is, I feel if a person's super stubborn into just her personality aspect of things, then it becomes a difficult relationship just in general, and it doesn't really matter with what kind of ethnicity you are or anything. And that's what I kind of even in my previous relationships, multicultural, white, Mexican, whatever, I definitely felt if a person wants to make that effort, and kind of be in that relationship with you, I think you definitely will feel that kind of a click and a vibe, just in general. So I don't think there's any kind of cultural aspect to it. I think it just flows, if it's too if it's like a storybook, kind of, where in all honesty, it's the same story in all different cultures. If you if you compare books and stuff in so many ways, kind of Romeo and Juliet, in our cultures, Heer and Ranja, which is and I'm sure there's a similar story in kind of Hispanic cultures as well, which is similar to that. And even I would say kind of just our all religious books as well too, the Bible, the Quran, the Gita for the Hindus as well. It's all of that, I feel preaches the same thing, which is kind of you just need to be right yourself, you just need to do good and be good yourself and do good unto others, which is like, if you live by that, just like a simple rule, like, I feel like you can get along with any person, like, kind of, and like, that's what I found with my wife, which is like, kind
That's
of,
good.
like, she's just a good person in general, which like I don't need to be like, oh, you know what, oh, you need to make it a point to be good with my family. You need to make it a point. I need to make it a point to be good with your family, because like that's generally that's something that I want to do. Like, that's like, kind of I'm in that element or that frequency where like, oh, you know what, these are my people, whatever it is, like, even though there might be like language barriers, cultural barriers, but like I'm connected to them now, like, kind of like, and I need to make that effort as such. So like,
so basically as well, there wasn't need to have that conversation. That,
no,
hey,
never.
It was all mentally, you and her, you were on the same page.
100%.
You were respectful, she was respectful, she knew what to do, you knew what to do.
Exactly. Like, and
that's good.
And like, the part of it is like, I don't know how many people get to experience that, which like, I've been through several iterations of like, kind of relationships just in general, like to be in this one where like, I got to marry the person that I truly love and that's like good. Respect and stuff, like where like that's I good. Would definitely like would ask anyone to pursue like that part where like, you're kind of just like, oh, is there a true connect? Like, do you feel in your element, which is like, you don't have to, you're not struggling, like, you're just like, oh, you know what, I can go partying with somebody, like, but also like at the same time, like I could just like chill with them at the same time.
Right,
well. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I get it, dude. Same way. For example, on my end, when I married my well, I've been with her for 9 years, married 3 years. So I feel to the point where I trust her, I love her. She's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
She pretty much like helped me correct my path, that we made it our path.
Yeah.
And I get you, because almost the same way, she's a completely different culture than the culture that I grew up with, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, and like, I know you're almost closer to her, right? But like, kind of one thing that I've always believed is like, kind of we are a culmination of all of our experiences. Like, our ancestors through like, kind of like what we've experienced in person as well. So like, I feel like that's what like, kind of your wife also like feels that way, like just because like, there's part like, not everybody receives love in the same way as well, like, kind of they might not have received that like, much of love throughout their life, while like, a person like they grew up with all the love in their life, like so like, it's like, oh, now somebody's presenting love to them, like, both of those people will be like, kind of comprehending that love in a different way than like, just like a neutral path basically. But it was a great ride with you, dude. But,
thank you. So one last thing, dude, if you don't mind, what's a life lesson that you can share with the listeners?
I would say, just like, in all honesty, like so coming off from this concert, like, there's only one source, like, you can call it different names. You're just going with the flow right now. Just go with the flow and you'll lead to the source, basically. It's like, it may be Jesus, Allah, whatever anybody calls it, but like, but just be respectful of people around you, like, don't hurt anybody, and like, you'll just basically reach there.
Be a human being to another human being.
Exactly. Like, that's all. Like, we're just vibing in this universe, and like, we're just reasoning, we're just gonna reach our ultimate destination, which is like, I don't know, like, not to put in morbid terms that, but like, kind of like, it's there's more paths to it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Cool, brother.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Until we meet again, guys.
Yes, until we meet again.
You're amazing, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And to the listener, we were having a conversation where his wife is Mexican and he is Indian. And two different cultures that came together. I'm Mexican, so I was intrigued with his journey, and I wanted him to be in a podcast. And he agreed, so I'm thankful. Thank you, and let's go to the next one. You see, that's the thing. When we were talking, I was intrigued. He hooked me already because, of course, he's a completely different ethnicity than his wife. A Mexican lady and an Indian fellow. And as well as I am, I'm Mexican and my wife is Native American. So two different cultures, two different ethnicities, but we have one thing in common. We're all humans. And I believe that's why love is strong. But thank you. Thank you for being in the car with me. Hopefully we meet again, man. And I can't wait to give you guys a ride from the concert again. Now for the next conversation, I do have an interesting conversation because I love food. And this lady gave me a recipe that I have yet to try, but soon will. Listen to this.
Just because it's starting to get into like holiday season, I would just say like going out and being outside in the wintertime, it was always nice being able to go like sledding, or I'm really big into skiing, and I've been wanting to go to the Snow Bowl in Arizona, but unfortunately my roommates, none of them actually know how to ski or snowboard. It's just me, but I just remember going skiing with my family, and it just always being a good time and just something that we all did together, especially because it's something that my parents grew up doing, so it's nice that they passed on to me, which I hope to pass on to my own kids one day. But yeah, I would say just honestly being outside. I'm an outdoors person, so honestly doing anything outside. It's a little hard in Arizona with the heat, but I just enjoy the sun and like having a good time with people without it actually being like spending money, I guess, necessarily. Like,
that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? Just because you're going out doesn't necessarily you have to spend money. Just hang out, enjoy nature. For example, you growing up, you like to go sledding, you like to ski and all that stuff. You know what? I've never met someone who actually skied before.
Really?
All I've seen is YouTube videos of people skiing, which is cool. But I've never met someone in person that actually skied.
So it was a long time ago, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been skiing recently, just having moved out here, just because I don't rent equipment anymore, just because I worked at the place that I used to rent my equipment from, so it was a lot cheaper.
You had the hookups.
No, I did have the hookups, but I would say the coolest experience I ever got while skiing was I got to go to Park City, Utah, which is where they have the Olympic trials. Like they do like the Olympic half pipe, all that stuff. And it was really cool just to be able to like know like the people before me that have been on this have been people that have really put in like the dedication and the time. But it was just cool to see like actual mountains and stuff, because being from Wisconsin, like it's just like a big hill that we'll ski down, so it's nothing really all that impressive. But it's just a cool experience. It's nice to see something different from where you're from. It opens your eyes a lot, but it was just a nice time that I got to spend with my family too.
Now, having seen that in Utah, did it ever occur to you, or did it come into your mind saying, I would like to be a professional athlete in snowboarding or skiing?
No, only because I'm just someone that always does something for fun rather than for competition. Even though I can be very competitive, it's just I just don't like the line that I can cross sometimes, where it's just so much pressure to where it's like it's no longer something that I'm having fun. It's something that I feel like I need to do. Because I used to do competitive cheerleading, and that kind of took over a little bit more. Hence why I kind of stopped skiing, just because like the seasons kind of overlapped. Because I couldn't really go skiing, and like if I hurt myself, it would like impact how my season went for cheer. But
I'm assuming that it's easy to get injured with the snow.
Yeah, you have to definitely be careful, especially because you never know when you're going to get like a patch of like lighter snow or like the powder, because usually it is pretty dense, so it's easy to be right on top of. But I remember being in Utah, and we were going around a really sharp turn, and I totally twisted my leg up just because I took it too close to a snowbank, and it was all straight powder, so my skis kind of totally flipped around. and it kind of separated me from the group that I was in. So I was a little bit nervous, but obviously, like, I ended up being okay. And but yeah, it was definitely like, it's all just a learning curve. You just the more you experience from it, the more you know how to take specific turns and how to just have a good time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it does sound like you don't like to mix competitive things with your enjoyments.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, like as much like it is nice to get critique, I'm not gonna lie, because obviously that does help you get better.
Okay.
I just like doing things just because I have the sole enjoyment from it, and
that's cool.
I always know how I can do better. Like one of my hobbies, for example, I really like to cook, and I'll cook for my roommates. And
nice.
Like, as much as they'll tell me certain things, like I know the things that I need to do better at the end of the day, and like how it's gonna progress me into the future. But I just, my competitiveness is more of like, I would say my drive, but at the end of the day, like I'm just doing something because I love to do it rather than because I want someone to validate me and say that I'm really good at something.
Okay.
It's just because it brings me this sort of joy.
Well, validation is key also to know that you are doing something good and successful.
Yeah, which I definitely agree.
Yes, so I like to talk about food. Mm-hmm. What's a dish that you had trouble making at first that now it's easy peasy for you?
I would say, oh, that's tough because I make a lot of really random dishes. I'm not gonna lie. I like to kind of jump cuisines, but
nice.
I would say recently, I made steak for my roommates as well as potatoes and just like a little side. But I had watched so many different times because I really want a cast iron skillet because it really impacts how like the flavor comes out as well as just how the steak is seared.
Whoever knows how to cook should already know, or should have been saying she knows what she's doing with the skillets.
Yeah. And but yeah, it took me a while because obviously like getting the perfect medium rare, like it's hard to know without cutting it open, but it's just kind of just trusting the process as well as like I said earlier, the experience. The more you try and do something, like the easier it'll get, as well as just like when you have a passion, like you strive to like know more. So I kept watching so many videos on like how people did it. Like of course I watched like the Gordon Ramsay like how to make a steak video. But honestly, cooking is just something that it's my like creative edge. So it's like I don't have to like choose to want to watch something. I just will.
What's a dish that you recommend that that comes from Wisconsin, that as soon as someone touches that dish, it's like that's what we have over there?
I would say my baked mac and cheese, because anytime we had like a potluck or something, like hot dishes are a real big thing in the Midwest. So
I love hot dishes.
Anything that's kind of like a casserole type. But I actually ordered Wisconsin cheese the last time I like really made mac and cheese for a group of people, because I just knew I needed specific products to make like the dish that I wanted. But yeah, I would just say mac and cheese is just something I really grew up on, and it's something that my mom would make whenever we needed to make a big dish for someone or for a group. And
I've tried baked mac and cheese, and it's, to me, it's better than the one that goes on the stovetop. What do you use on your mac and cheese?
So I'll use a few different types of cheese because I try and get like a sharp one, one that's more creamy, as well as just something that's just going to be an overall like good base. But
do you mind sharing what you use so that I can try it?
Yeah, so I of course use Wisconsin sharp cheddar, as sharp as you like. I like extremely sharp cheddar, but I'll also use like a Gruyere as well as like a white cheese, like a Parmesan, just to bring that nuttiness.
To blend it in,
But I always recommend making a roux, which is just butter and flour, and then you add the cheese in, because then it just makes the perfect cheese sauce to put on your mac and cheese. And then you can add as much cheese as you want, shredded.
Yeah. But I'm a cheese guy.
Oh yeah, me too.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky.
You know what? I can't wait to try those things. Skiing in Utah and have that mac and cheese, which, to be honest, hopefully by this weekend. Hell yeah, why not? Thank you again for the recipe. Gordon Ramsay really taught us well, and I wouldn't be surprised if you open a restaurant soon, so be looking forward to that. Now, my last story My last story is a Hannah Montana story. She's living the best of both worlds. She's coming from San Diego and now living in Phoenix. But in her terms, San Diego, she was Hannah Montana, and Phoenix, she was Miley. How so, you say? Enjoy the conversation.
So my name is Maya. I'm originally from California. In my occupation right now, I'm representative for self-designers.
Self-designer from California. What part of Cali?
I'm actually from San Diego. It's
San Diego,
really mellow
shit.
out there. I like it. It's so pretty.
How long have you been here?
Oh my gosh. Basically, technically speaking, consecutively 20 years.
Oh shit. Okay.
But I've been back and forth in California so often, so I can't even really say how long I've been in Cali. I know about the back of my hand though.
I bet you miss it though.
I do. I'm actually going back out there this end of October.
So this outgoing, how you are, as you are outgoing, does that come from Cali, or do you have to learn that here?
Honestly, Arizona mellowed me out a lot because there's
shit.
nothing really to do out here. I don't really know a lot of people out here either. But in Cali, like the moment you step outside, I cannot have an itinerary and have an itinerary spontaneously out of nowhere. So I feel like California definitely brings a different side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I'm wild out there. It's so wild.
So you kind of say, thank you, Phoenix, for putting me in my place while I'm here.
Most definitely. I feel like Arizona actually gave me standards than California did.
Interesting. I mean, before we started recording, you were talking about going out on dates, right?
Yes.
So far, what has going on dates has taught you about yourself?
So during my time going on a solo date, I've actually got asked out twice, and both of those dates literally did not go through. So I got dressed up already, prepared to go on a date, just get canceled on last minute, and I said I'm not gonna put this to waste. So I just went out spontaneously to a restaurant. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get dressed. I'm gonna look good somewhere. Someone's gonna see this outfit in this face.
Hell yeah. That's a mentality to go with, because a lot of people just give up. As soon as the date's canceled, oh well, you call my girlfriend and cry about it.
That's how it used to be for me too, but I stopped thinking that way.
You took initiative.
I did.
How long did it take you to be that way, to be the leader for yourself?
24 years.
24 years?
Yeah. I barely started doing this and started stepping up for myself like 2 weeks ago. Like for a while, I really was the person who really depended on everybody else. I always felt I needed to be with somebody in order for me to go out all the time. Yeah. And when I did go out all the time, I was the person who was kind of covered by the crowd. Now it's just me walking into places by myself, and people are just like, "You're by yourself? You're not ready for nobody?" Nope, it's just me, baby. And they just be so shook. But first time can be nerve-wracking, of course, but after that, you really kind of walk with yourself, and you kind of like fill yourself out a little bit. You kind of walk in there like you own the building. Like you feel so much better afterwards, honestly.
Does that give you like a little bit more of empowering for yourself, going out on solo dates, where you see other women, you see they're not having a good time, but yet you see yourself being out there enjoying yourself?
Yeah, I won't say empowering, but it definitely does give me more confidence in myself, because something I have been working on is to be more confident in where I go and having to stop depending on someone to come with me to places.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
So having from where you're from, your background, does that identify who you are now?
It used to, but not anymore. This is really solely based on myself. My background, I've actually had a lot of my family depends on me, actually.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot of pressure.
Yes, and I'm actually getting ready to take care of my mom in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So that's really even more bigger pressure. Oh my gosh, that's improper grammar. More pressure. My background really has everyone depends on everybody. You know, you need somebody to depend on. Like even in relationships, I need to depend on you. You know, like it was always, you never got a chance to be selfish in my background, basically, to take care of yourself and put your needs and your wants first.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've actually been doing it. And honestly, it backfired a little bit for my family. They were like, oh, so you can do this, but you can't do this for me? And it's like, but it's not about you.
Yeah,
So a lot of those
about
things
you,
happen.
Yeah.
It's
Maya,
like a driver. Yeah.
thank you very much for being a part of this.
Of course.
I'll put in a good word for you. Expect a lot of people. Is there social media you would like to share?
I'm sure. I'm terrible about social media. I'm not even really on there like that, to be honest.
Okay.
But my social media is the Maya, MYA Williams. So WILLIAMS.
Perfect. And that's it, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching this video today. Hopefully this video introduces a new thing of what's coming next. But I do have more stories. I do have new stories, but you know what? I want to be fair with the people that I had a conversation with first, because their stories are worth hearing and I want them to bring them out to the public. But this does conclude the podcast for today. Thank you guys for coming over. Remember to follow us on our socials, Instagram and TikTok, Journey Chronicles Podcast. On YouTube is Journey Chronicles Pod, P-O-D. Also on Spotify, I implemented video format as well. If you don't like the videos on YouTube, you can actually watch the videos on Spotify, or vice versa. If you don't have Spotify, hop on over to YouTube. Again, I try to work with all of you. Thank you again for all the blessings that you've been giving me. Share with your friends and family, even with your neighbors. If they listen to the podcast, who knows? Doesn't matter. Share it with them. They'll enjoy it, I'm sure. And aside from that, that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you again. I can't wait to show you guys what's next on the next video. Many good stories, many good footage on the back seat. I implemented new lighting, so it'll be way better than ever. Thank you again. Have a good night, and I'm gonna go to sleep again.